You got some rocket science down there?
Mr. Alexander, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you please tell us what is the outcome of the commission's meeting today as regards the votes on the east coast of the Marara that were found many without documents in the ballot boxes?
The fact is that there were 29 boxes, as far as I know, without any documents. It's not a question of some documents being missing. It's a question of all documents except for the ballots themselves not being found in the boxes. A decision was made today, a split decision or a majority decision, that those ballots should be tabulated. We had previously determined that it should be set aside pending an investigation into the matter. So far, the investigation has thrown up nothing because they have not even accessed the persons who should be participating in the investigation. We've been advised that the documents were not found in GCOM's custody and that they're seeking to get DROs and presiding officers to advise on the matter. But they have not yet gotten those persons to so advise. In the face of that, a decision was taken, a majority decision, to tabulate the statements of recount. Now, I find that a difficult situation for this reason. In principle, I do agree, and I think the Commission agreed, that no voter should be disenfranchised. That decision was made in principle. But then one takes that position that no voter should be disenfranchised and applies it to the fact that in many instances, and on to now, in the circumstance of 81 ballots in Sophia, which were clearly cast by voters who cast votes as well for the national, which votes were counted. When you apply the principle to that and no decision is made, then there's something wrong with the manner in which we are applying our principles. Here is a case where 81 ballots clearly are part of a whole document, the second half of which has 2 stamps and one half not having a stamp, simply because the ballots were folded horizontally when they were being stamped rather than vertically. And we cannot make a decision on that, and people are trying not to address the matter at all. But you have a ballot box where there is no documentation available, so you don't know at this stage how many voters turned up because the OLE is not there to tick off the number of voters. Your counterfoil is not there to say so many used and unused ballots. So all the information required to come to the determination of what's in that box is unavailable. But on the basis of the principle that you shouldn't disenfranchise a voter, you admit all of those in. And you don't admit in other boxes where you can clearly determine that those persons are being disenfranchised on the grounds of a stamp not being there, when you can clearly explain why the stamp is not there. Bear in mind, we have said in instances where there's absolutely no stamp or an explanation, that's okay. But in the instance where you can clearly explain that these stamps are not there because somebody erroneously stamped the bottom half twice, didn't stamp the top half, and you're not accepting that, then we seem not to be a commission that's pursuing fairness and justice in relation to the votes of the voters. We seem to be a commission that's looking after interests, and unfortunately, that is what has occurred. May I make it clear? It is my own view, and I made the suggestion, that some mechanism should be sought in the instance of the boxes in Lower East Coast to ensure the people are enfranchised. And so, for example, in my own mind, I was looking at the question of a possible quote-unquote by-election, which will ensure that those people are allowed to come and to cast their vote, and their vote is not given the value. But as it is, I can't say who cast those votes. There's no basis. I don't know if they're in excess, if they're less, or what the case might be. So we seem to have a difficult situation in the manner in which we are managing this count.
What did you mean by the documents not found in Jeepham's custody?
The CEO did say that one of the things he would do is to check collision where they return bags of documents. And we're now being told that those documents are not in those bags. So that no one in Jeepam at this time is saying where those documents are, if they have not been destroyed.
So the documents are still missing?
Still missing.
Mr. Alexander, one assumes that you may have made these very arguments at the discussion level of the Commission. What was the reason proffered to reject your arguments and to go in the direction of having the ballots tabulated?
To be truthful, I don't think anybody could proffer the reason to reject my argument. I think these things are sometimes down to power play.
So no counter-arguments were provided?
The initial argument was that people should not be disenfranchised. I agree to that argument because I try to operate in the basis of logic. I went on beyond that to say, don't disenfranchise them, but you have a conundrum. Let's look for a solution beyond just simply accepting those ballots. And that argument was not accepted.
You openly suggested a by-election.
No, I did not in the meeting.
Why not?
I spoke about, let's find a solution beyond. One moves in stages. If no one is prepared to look for a solution beyond and only purporting one solution, then where's the space in my argument?
How did this come down to an actual vote in the Commission?
I wouldn't say an actual vote, but it was clear from the contributions that 3 commissioners thought we should be looking for a solution other than accepting the ballots as they are. And 3 commissioners felt that we should accept the ballots, and the chairperson came down on the side of those who felt they should be accepted.
And did she give a reason?
Her only contention was that we can't disenfranchise voters.
And sir, looking at...
And she then went on to say we will continue the investigation. So the investigation is supposed to be continuing. But there's no timeline, there's no correlationship between the investigation and what happens hereafter.
In a situation, Mr. Alexander, where more or less the statements of poll are very close, if not, well, let me say almost identical to the statements of recount for all of the ballots recounted so far, to what extent would you be willing to accept the statement of poll for those 29 boxes for which no documents were found?
There are 2 issues with that contention. One, this process has not made statements of poll a point of reference. Nowhere in this process has statements of poll been a point of reference. Contention 1. Contention 2. We have had sufficient cases in this process where persons who were not authorized to vote because of death or absence were voted for. And those votes were counted and placed in statements of poll. So the statement of poll does not discern that. So I can't go back to a document which may be flawed as the basis for a solution. So those statements of polls may be flawed, I don't know. But we have evidence that there are statements of polls which were flawed because when one went back to do the reconciliation, it was determined that those statements of poll included votes of persons who were not alive.
But what is the solid proof that you have
Of what?
Of people voting in the names of deceased and the persons who were deceased.
Well, I thought we went past that.
No, but what is the solid?
The solid proof is
Just a tick?
one, that the legal document which is to be used to determine who came to vote so indicates. One. Two, that the persons who are providing evidence have taken that information of those persons and have been able to verify that they were either dead or out of the country. What more than that you want?
But there is also the dispute out of the immigration where people are contending that they were indeed in Guyana.
I have said on that matter, probably not here, if you have a problem that somebody is saying that you were present, absent, and you were voted for, the newspaper is not the solution. Why not come to GCOM with your concrete contention? None of those cases, as far as I know, have come to GCOM. They have only been in the arena of propaganda. Have we been able to verify? Somebody sent a list of 200 and something. 172 were said not to be here. Are those persons in the residual number? Or are they in the original number? That is something in the public domain that is not a substantial proposition to GCOM that something has gone wrong. That is propaganda. It may turn out to be true, but has not been proven to be so.
Does GCOM plan to do any field work on its own to ascertain?
Ascertain what?
To reach out to these people who are claiming that they were in Guyana?
GCOM has gone to the official institution in this country to make a determination. An institution which is authorized by law to do so, they have done so.
Right, but when a situation where there's a contention with GCOM, in the same way that you have a claims and objections period, will you now deploy field workers to say, go and check and see what's going on here?
We will go and check and see if somebody's here now in relation to them being there on the
No,
2nd of March.
they have records in their passports.
Let them come forward. Let them come forward. They've gone to the papers, I suppose. I wouldn't refer to the lady who told the man and said, don't come and get me to sign something, because that's in the propaganda realm as well. So I'm not referring that. But that has also happened. So there's no credibility about these social media and newspaper reports as far as I'm concerned. We are dealing with the authorized legal body. And if people have a problem with that, then there's recourse that they have. We have used our recourse.
What other issues were discussed today? I know
Those are the two main issues.
Okay. Is it possible that the recount can finish today based
It's
on...
most likely.
After
After that, what happens?
We await the report of the CEO and then go into deliberation. The CEO has up to the 13th to present his report.
and the curriculum report.
Should come in interregnum between that conclusion and the 13th.
Do you know if the CARICOM team will remain here until the declaration or until
I
the
cannot say
deliberation
they will
of the
remain
report?
until the declaration, but I do think that at minimum they remain until the 13th.
Mr. Alexander, I know you have dealt with this issue before, but is it expected that the CEO's report will also deal with the Region 4 original declaration and the claims and allegations made?
We are doing a recount. That's what we do. A recount deals with what comes out of that box. There is no external point of reference. I don't expect, though there may be those who want to interject that into the process, I don't expect us to be doing that because we are dealing with a recount under the law which provides for us to deal with what comes out of that box. And one of the issues that's come out of the box is the absence of things in the box.
Just before you go, sir, can you clarify if you've seen a signed statement by some deputy returning officers about not receiving specific instructions hours before close of poll?
I have not.
Okay, and as the chief elections officer, reported anything as to when he can meet with these officers to determine what happened with the
He has been trying to do so already, and it's continuing along that course of action. as far as I know.
Is the commission
He wanted in the first instance to meet with the DROs, and I think given what has occurred, he's now going to pursue not only the DROs, but the POs who had previously intended to meet after we had met the DROs.
Has the commission been able to determine preliminarily how many votes are actually being challenged by APNU as...
No, we have not. As I said on a previous occasion, those things are in the observation reports, and we have not really yet to discuss those.
Not in the ballpark figure.
We have not discussed it. The observation reports are still to be summarized and brought to our attention.
Is there a methodology that will be used to summarize the observation reports?
I think there's a format that the secretary will use to do that. It has to be formatted. I think there's a format. We did not prescribe to him a format, but I'm quite sure he has a format he'll be using.
Is the Elections Commission collectively or individually in contact with Mr. Mingyu?
I am not. I don't know if anyone else is.
No, I was thinking in the context of sorting out this matter.
I am not. I don't know if anyone else is. Answers your question.
Thank you.
Thank you.